think we're live. Happy Monday, loves. Thank you for joining me for tonight's Facebook Live. If this is the first time you are joining, thank you for checking out my live. My name is Dani LeBerry. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and a happiness transformation coach. So I typically work with people who are feeling unfulfilled, unhappy, overwhelmed, stressed out, anxious, depressed. So in case you didn't know, July is National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. Last week, I did a Facebook Live on the importance of minority mental health awareness. So tonight, we're going to be talking about minority mental health prevention. So as people are joining in, I like to start with a little bit of statistics. These statistics are from SAMHSA, which is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, and the CDC. In 2017, 10.5%, which is the equivalent of 3.5 million people of young adults ages 18 to 25 had serious thoughts of suicide, including 8.3% of non-Hispanic blacks and 9.2% of Hispanics. In 2017, 7.5%, which is the equivalent of 2.5 million of young adults ages 18 to 25, had a serious mental illness, including 7.6% of non-Hispanic Asians, 5.7% of Hispanics, and 4.6% of non-Hispanic blacks. Feelings of anxiety and other signs of stress may become more pronounced or exacerbated, especially during these times with this global pandemic. People in some racial and ethnic minority groups may respond more strongly to the stress of a pandemic or crisis. And let's not be naive here. There's a lot going on right now in our society. So tonight I'm talking about prevention, and I am such a proponent of, if there is a balance of healthiness from your physical care, your emotional care, your social self-care, and your spiritual, if there's a healthy balance in all of these areas, I feel like that makes someone spiritually, emotionally, basically pretty fit to be able to withstand and stay resilient to the things that are going on around you, okay? So I'm going to give you some examples, because sometimes people talk about self-care or just taking care of ourselves, and we kind of tend to think of things like maybe for women getting facials or getting their nails done, or getting, men and women getting haircuts and going shopping. But there's a little bit more to self-care than that, and I want to go into it not just in the areas of it, but giving you specific examples of each of these areas. So starting with physical, making sure that, are you getting enough sleep? So this is prevention, okay? I'm talking about, everything that I'm talking about tonight here is prevention from things getting worse. Is someone getting enough sleep? Physical release. Are you able to really relieve yourself physically of the stressors and the emotional turbulences that you've been experiencing? Yoga. Now, I know with things going on right now, and I'm not sure, depending on where you're watching this from, there are different laws going on right now as far as the quarantine goes. So let's just say you're kind of like, yeah, but Dani, I can't make it to, a yoga studio. It's closed. We've got two options I have in mind here. One is go on meetup.com. They did not pay me to say this. MEETUP, and it's a free, if you go on meetup.com, it's free to use it. You don't need to pay to use it. You only need to pay if you decide to be an organizer of an event. I actually have a meetup group. I have 2 or 3 meetup groups, actually, now that I think about it. One of them is the Boca Raton Beach Meditation Tribe. The other one is a self-improvement group. And another one is a Codependent No More group. That was a book club. So why I'm bringing up Meetup is because you can look up meetups in your area. You put in your zip code, and a lot of the times the events in your area would either be free or a very, very low cost, maybe $5 or $10. And what's going on right now, because of everything, you may be able to attend a meetup virtually. So it's even better than even having to leave your house and go do yoga. You can just find a meetup and attend virtually. You could also, the second option is go on YouTube and look up YouTube videos. I like to follow a girl named Yoga. It's Yoga with Adriene, Adriene. She's awesome. She's very down to earth, kind of like the girl next door. So you're not doing, upside down handstands or anything like that. If you just want to do some basic stretches. Rest. That's the last one for my physical. Now, I said sleep earlier. Sleep and rest are different. Sleep is sleeping. Rest is taking a break. Wes! It's so nice to see you on here. How are you doing, man? Oh, that's great. Thanks for joining me on my Facebook Live. Okay, so physical. We've got sleep, physical release, yoga, like I was saying, go on Meetup or YouTube, and rest. Emotional. Now this area of your life, this health, stress management. What are you doing to alleviate your stress? Emotional maturity. Now, when I bring up emotional maturity, I'm talking about, say, for example, I'm in an argument. I'm in a debate with somebody and I'm working on my anger. And emotional maturity would look like me letting go of the need of having to be right. And instead, I shut my mouth and I turn around and I walk away. That is emotional maturity. Rather than continuing to engage in the argument and the debate, and it escalates and it escalates to the point that it gets completely out of control. The other sign of it is also emotional. We're still on emotional. Forgiveness. So I want to talk about this in regards to, because remember, we're talking about minority mental health prevention, okay? So when I bring up forgiveness, I notice that, and I'm just speaking over, just generalizing here, culturally, sometimes we may be raised in an environment where we don't tend to forgive, or we don't have compassion, or we hold grudges, or my family's from Trinidad, and if you're from the islands, there's this term called bacchanal, which is like drama. People sometimes want drama, and unfortunately, some people thrive on drama and thrive on chaos. And in the midst of my journey, my own personal journey, differentiating things from what's healthy for me versus the things that I've been raised in, maybe culturally. So just being mindful of that. Now, that's not to say that I'm not aware of it, and I may allow it in certain situations or certain circumstances, but I'm very aware of it. So what I mean by that is, say, for example, people know that most people know that McDonald's is unhealthy, right? There was a point in time I didn't know that. I was just eating McDonald's because it was convenient and cheap. But now that I know that, if I'm going to McDonald's, I'm going with the decision and consciousness that, yes, I know it's unhealthy, but I'm choosing to eat it anyway because I just feel like eating it or I'm craving it. So what I mean by that is, when it comes to forgiveness, I may know that, and I may be around people who, say, for instance, maybe doing those old behaviors and habits, but maybe it's difficult or it's tricky for me to be able to completely separate myself from it. So, for example, some of my clients tell me that happens with family members, and they're saying things like, well, Dani, it's difficult because it's my family. You put up as much barriers as you possibly can, but really the point of it is to be aware. Once you're aware, that really helps to separate. Social. Now, this area of health has to do with boundaries, saying yes when we mean yes, and saying no when we mean no. What do I mean by that? I mean that sometimes we have the tendency that we would really like to say no, but we end up saying yes because we're either fearing of rejection, or we're fearful of what the person's going to think of us. They may not like us. We like to people please. So being aware of that tendency. Support systems, that's very huge. Now, just as a reminder, we're talking about minority mental health prevention. So the reason I'm bringing up support systems is because depending on cultures, once again, some cultures are kind of on this instinct of, I do this on my own. I do this by myself. I don't need other people. We don't need a support system. So once again, being aware of that, being mindful of that, asking for help, kind of piggyback on that last one, right? Culturally, Have you been trained to kind of do things on your own, do things independently rather than asking for help? I know that's something that I've been working on for many years, and I still am working on. Sometimes my mom still tells me, why do you wait until things get like this to say anything? So it's important to be aware of asking for help. It's okay to ask for help. Communication. That's my last one for social. This is another one where, depending on culturally how the person grew up or was raised, sometimes, a lot of times, look at turn on your TV and we can see what's going on, right? People, if we suppress a lot of our emotions, it comes out in anger. And if you watched a couple videos ago, I'm going to grab this right here. We're going to pretend that this is a can of soda. And every time you're stressed out or you go through something that's just very challenging, imagine that soda can shaking. What happens when we open the soda can? It explodes. So when we're not communicating, when we're not expressing what's truly on our mind or on our heart, it gets bottled up. Same thing as the soda can being shaken. And then what happens eventually? We explode. So for proper, good social health, it's effective when, and it's healthy to communicate, talk, to discuss what's going on. Okay, my last one is spiritual, right? We said physical so far, which has to do with sleep, physical release, maybe doing some yoga and resting. Emotional, stress management, emotional maturity, having a practice of forgiveness and forgiving other people. Social, having to do with boundaries, your support system, communication, asking for help. And the last one is spiritual. Now, when I say spiritual, I don't want your walls or your guards to go up and say, well, I don't believe in God. Spiritual meaning, even if you were an atheist, developing an unconditional love for yourself, okay? Now, for some people, that might look like God. For some people, that might look like the universe or energy. That's what I believe in. Nature, universe, energy. Some people might believe in Jesus. Whatever that is for you. Some people don't believe in a God, and if you don't believe in a God or a higher power, then we'll call it your highest self, okay? Whatever that is, that's the thing too, is that people sometimes get wrapped up in titles and tags and labels. You can still be a spiritual person and be an atheist, okay? Just so you know. This is just a relationship. Whether the relationship is with a higher power, something bigger than yourself, or the relationship is with yourself within you, your highest self within you, okay? So, spiritual, time alone. Are you spending time alone? Now, there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. It's very healthy to have time for yourself. Sit with yourself. Be okay with yourself. Meditation. I've had so many people tell me, Dani, I hate meditating. I hate meditation. I don't like it. Just practice and go for 30 seconds. Even if you start with 30 seconds, just 30 seconds, then build up to 60, then build up to a minute. And what I mean by when I say 30 seconds is set a timer and just focus on your breath. And just notice where your mind goes when you get distracted. This is, hey AJ, thanks for joining me. This is just, people really underestimate the power of being mindful and being present to our thoughts. Because where your mind goes, practicing being able to bring it back, that practice right there, what people don't realize, it's in that practice that helps us stay grounded regardless of what's going on around us. Because what's going on around us, is being fed through our thoughts. So meditation, even if you're just taking a couple minutes, 1 minute, 60 seconds, 30 seconds, well, 60 seconds is a minute. All right, connecting with nature. Go to the beach. Okay, some people say, Dani, I don't like the beach. I don't like sand. Go to a park. Well, I don't like being in the sun. I don't like being outside. Sit in a patio or in a shaded area. I don't care what you do, but be outside. We are human beings. We are not meant to sit on a computer or at a desk all day. We're meant to be outside. And I get it. Some people really don't like being outdoors, and that's okay. Go for a bike ride in the evening. Just do something where you're outside and you're getting a breath of fresh air. Journaling. or as I like to tell my male clients, writing, because they don't like journaling. Writing. It's so good to do this for your spiritual health. Going on Pinterest. Pinterest is free, and even putting in self-discovery journal prompts. You can get some really, hey Pablo, thanks for joining me. Awesome. Thanks, Bazi. I think it's how I say your name. Thank you for joining me as well. So awesome to see some people on here. So where was I? Journaling and writing, getting introspective, understanding. Are you happy? If you're not happy, what's holding you back? Understanding what makes you tick. You know, it's really helpful when we look at journal prompts. I've been doing a lot of that lately, just looking at my shadow, looking at my triggers, looking at the things that still upset me that I've thought that I've worked through and worked on, but I haven't yet. So it's very good. It's highlighted a lot through journaling and prompts, questions, or you could just freestyle and write. But I know sometimes if people are just now getting into journaling or writing, it can be a little weird, or it can feel a little hard, like challenging, like, well, I don't know what to write. So look up journal prompts, and Pinterest is the best. I love Pinterest for that. The last thing on spiritual health is creating a sacred space. Now, when I say creating a sacred space, I don't want you to think like, oh my goodness, Dani, that means I gotta get like a separate bedroom and I gotta decorate it, or no. Just find a space in your home where, and listen, I have some mom clients who it's their bathroom, okay? So it's your space, right? So you get to dub it sacred. Nobody else can dub it sacred. You dub it sacred. So it doesn't matter what it looks like, where it is, how big or small it is, but it's yours and it's your space. And you can, yeah, if you want to decorate it. If you want to put some candles, some incense, meditation beads, a crystal lamp. If you're kind of like, whoa, how do I know what to do? How do I decorate it? Go on Pinterest or Google it, meditation spaces, things like that. It's so awesome to have a little space of yours where you can meditate, you can have time for yourself, you can journal. Like I said, don't get caught up too much in the logistics or the details. It doesn't have to be some kind of separate room in your house, okay? Even if it's inside of your closet, whatever that is for you, it's just for you. All right, now I've said all that, I want to leave you with some resources. So one resource is NAMI.org. That's the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has an Office of Minority Health. Now, in case you're wondering, you know, I'm talking about prevention, physical, emotional, social, spiritual health. Why am I talking about all of this? The reason why I'm talking about all of this is because when we don't take care of ourselves, when there is not a balance in those areas, we tend to fill those crappy feelings that we're not managing properly with things. Now, when I say things, those things can be alcohol, it could be food, it could be indiscriminate sex or promiscuity, it could be shopping. Hell, it could even be technology, just hours and hours addicted to our phone, just spending time and not realizing it. We fill voids with people, things, substances, sometimes drugs, whether it's recreational, prescription. So I'm telling you all of this so that you have some tools and some awareness on what can work and not work in replacement of those things. So for example, when you're feeling stressed out, instead of grabbing a White Claw or whatever that drink is called, go for a walk. Move the energy around in your body. Release it somewhere. And if it's too hot outside, go early in the morning or go in the evening and look at the sun and look at the sky and look at what's around you and get present and be grateful for what's around you. So those are some of this is why I'm sharing this video. And if you find this helpful or if you find that it may help someone else, please share it, because I am finding that as I'm doing these researches and preparing myself for these videos, resources are very limited out there. And it seems that, you know, with as much technology as we have, people still don't have the information they need in order to build a healthy life. So if you found this video helpful or you think it may help someone else, please share the video. And also, if anything has come up for you or you have any questions, or maybe you've tried some of these things and they don't work and you're kind of trying to figure out, well, what would work, feel free to send me an email. My email address is Dani, that's Dani, at DaniLaberry.com. And again, thank you so much for taking the time. I know this video was a little lengthier than my other ones because I'm very passionate about awareness this month. Again, my name is Dani Laberry. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and a happiness transformation coach. Thanks again for checking out my video, and I will see you next week. Have a great rest of your night.